Hey there, fabulous ladies. Welcome to Bring Back Your Pink, where we celebrate the fabulousness of midlife and beyond. I am Jen B, your host, your biggest fangirl and impact-driven entrepreneur living my biggest and boldest life, so you can too. Get ready to leave behind societal expectations and embrace a life filled with laughter, joy, and endless possibilities. So stand tall, turn up the volume, and let's dive into the world of living life in full color. Together, we'll rediscover the power of being unapologetically ourselves, and we will release our inner vibrancy, and together, we will bring back our pink. Let's make every moment count, girls. Hello, beauties. Welcome to this week's episode of Bring Back Your Pink. Today, I am super duper excited to shine the spotlight on Sonya from Your Star Collective. Now, Sonya is a total powerhouse in fashion and empowerment, and she's lighting up the way for all you fabulous ladies in the corporate scene. Sonya's all about firing up women to take the boardroom by storm with their killer ideas, ditching that blending in corporate look for something that screams you. And you know how much I love that, girls. And helps you stand out and be noticed. How does she know what you need? Well, she's walked the walk. With a background in corporate and a reinvention in personal styling, Sonya is living proof that women's capabilities are nothing short of phenomenal. So let's dive into Sonya's world, where she is all about transforming the lives of women leaders everywhere. Trust me, girls, we are going to have some fun today. Welcome, Sonya.
Hi, Jen. Thank you so much. Wow, what an intro. Loved it.
Well, just quietly, girls, I do know Sonya's brand extremely well. She is one of my branding clients. I helped build the brand, so I know it pretty inside out. So it's very easy for me to write that. But it's all very, very true. And I am really excited to have you here, Sonya, because I know, as we women are getting to certain ages, we do feel a bit invisible. And I know how hard it is standing up there with the boys. But before we go on to that, I just actually want to have a little chat about your journey because, background in corporate, working in personal styling, but this has been a long time love for you, hasn't it?
No, absolutely a really long time love. Probably really going back to the days of, when I was 5 years old and dressing up in my mum's clothes. But really, fundamentally, if I take it back, I think studying textiles and design through high school really gave me that love of construction of garments and fabrics and all those beautiful pieces. And also watching all those beautiful movies with
Yes.
the Grace Kellys of the world, etc., the Audrey Hepburns, they were all, an inspiration when it came to fashion for me early on.
I love that because then you walked the corporate path and in an amazing career. Like I always say to Sonya, what is it exactly that you do again?
Yeah, don't worry. I usually say I'm either a jack of all trades or I'm the one running the engine room in the back end. Uh, but no, yeah, definitely running the corporate career has been a bit of a tilt from fashion, but it's actually played a key role throughout my journey as I've sort of climbed that corporate ladder.
Yeah.
There's been lots of times where fashion has played this role where it was either it was dictating, or there was memories of how I wanted to dress and how I wanted to perceive myself versus challenging times where I would look up to sort of leaders at that time that I would aspire to and see how they would dress, but then be really challenged internally to say, after having children and, body shape changes, things like that, then going, well, how do I fit that mold that I'm seeing around me for senior female leaders when in fact I didn't quite look the same or feel the same. So went through a real journey of trying to blend in and fit in, and then not realizing that was actually squashing a piece of who I uniquely was and was affecting how I was actually showing up at work day to day.
And it does. Like, I mean, you know my history, you know my
Mm,
past. I mean, we do. I think so many of us do that. And so what I now want to ask you is like you've been on this quite amazing self-discovery journey yourself.
mm,
How does that now help you in your work as a personal stylist? Because I bet you any money, and I mean, I do know you fairly well, that you would be so encouraging for these ladies and encourage them to break free of like literally the chains that hold them back.
yeah, yeah. I think part of the process that I go through when I talk and meet with new clients is really spend a long time getting to understand who they are innately. And what
Mm.
is really clear is I describe them all, and really it is every client I've worked with, I describe them as hidden powerhouses
Yeah.
because they are so smart. They are doing amazing things and they're juggling a million balls in the air. Yet, when we're having a conversation, what can be seen really easily is that they, like I, doubted yourself. There's an element of doubt there and self belief. As well. And usually there's some sort of facade that you're trying to put up to fit in and be seen. But the gap is that your inside's not aligning with what's showing out on the inside, on the outside.
Mm.
Where my journey has really helped me is that I can really identify that when we're talking through and
Yeah.
then being able to pull out what are the elements here around their values and what's important to them to then align that to how do we now bring out their actual style so that it can help them really stand in their own 2 feet and the amazing women that they are.
See, it's interesting because often we think of fashion as like a bit of a, surface level thing. But let's have a chat about how actually fashion empowers women in these male dominated industries, and how you've seen with some of the ladies you've worked with, how it's helped them actually really shine and impact, their professional presence and make them stand out.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of it being seen as this superficial component, right? It's just clothes, right? We just put it
Yeah.
on, we just get dressed. It's not going to impact us. But there's a whole lot of psychological studies that have been done that actually relate back to what you wear really impacts how you feel, right? And so if you actually take a step back and think about that, I'll give an example of those days when you're feeling off and you will reach for, I just want something comfy, cozy, and potentially, take note. Are you pulling for something darker? Because you don't want to be seen. You want to be comfortable. And
Mm,
so when you do that, then actually you're personally feeling a little bit down. You become a little bit softer in the way that you speak. You might become a little bit more introvert than you would normally
mm,
versus if you're feeling like that and you go and pull an outfit on that always makes you feel great and allows you a level of confidence when you put that on. It's very similar to that quote about the suit of armor.
mm,
It's like it puts it on and then suddenly you're on. It turns a switch in you that enables you to step up to that meeting, gain that little bit more of confidence, that little bit more of bounce in your step. So that's really that first element of the success piece is, well, I've got to make sure that you're feeling who you really are. And by putting that right piece on where there's that alignment, then suddenly you're actually starting to get that confidence. Then the secondary component is actually where you align that personality piece in,
mm.
what is it in your outfits, etc., that will give that piece of personality that gives you that level of confidence. So to think about some clients that I've worked with, some of the examples there are, I've had a client who actually took on a executive role. So she'd previously been working in more sort of a smart casual type of environment. So she was in
Mhm.
every day and t-shirts, that type of thing. And so having to walk into a new executive role where she's got a bigger, she's part of that ELT, she's got a much larger team, and she's also in a marketing field, it was really important for her to be able to step in and walk into that room and feel confidence in herself. She knew she had the ability to do the job, but needed others to be able to see that in her from day dot, because we knew when she started talking that you would be able to identify that straight away, that she knew her stuff, but she wanted all of those worlds to kind of align and come together. And so working with her specifically, she was able to move from wearing the denim jeans and the t-shirts to finding what were those items for her that were actually going to make a difference, putting a bit of punch of color in an environment where it was a little bit more older, it was a little bit more dated, in sort of what they had in decor and everything else. So she became this pop of fresh color and a unique point of view, and her outfits just really complemented her as a whole being.
I love that. And I've got two things here.
Yeah.
One is like when you were talking about pulling out the comfortable clothes, I think the thing is we build a wardrobe that is comfortable because, we are juggling all the things as mothers, and even if our kids aren't so little anymore, even if they're like 15 and 16, there's still all the after school activities of this, that,
Yeah.
they want a wardrobe that they don't really have to think about. So, and go for the comfort. Um, so I find that's probably what happens with a lot of them. And then see, the thing is too, for so many of us, we don't necessarily know how to dress ourselves either. We don't even know where to start. So that's why we obviously need a Sonya in our lives, to come in and assess the style. And that leads me to the next question. How do you assess, the personal style, and then integrate it into that wardrobe, that professional wardrobe, to help them stand out?
Yeah, for sure. So with that whole beginning part of that process is actually we spent about an hour or so covering two elements. One, who you are. What does
Yeah.
your lifestyle look like? What does your wardrobe look like today? And what's really important for you from actually a brand, like a personal brand perspective as
This,
well.
I said this just last week with Janine, no matter if you are employed, you are still a personal brand and you are selling
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's really interesting, and coming from corporate, what I saw is that, as an employee, a lot of us never thought of ourselves as a personal brand. You're
Mm.
always there representing the organization rather than also representing yourself. So I spent a fair amount of time just working out what do you want to be perceived as? What does that look like for you? And then we combine that with spending time going through. I've got a sort of a framework that we go through in trying to identify what style category, we call it, do you fall in. And what I find is that many of the women I work with, you always fall into at least two. There's always going to be a main dominant category,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
there's going to be a secondary category. And you may have heard some of these before. Some of them might be like classic, boho, romantic, what else is there? Sexy, all of those things.
Colorful.
Colorful might be an eclectic mix of that. But what I'm looking for is what are the dominant themes? And then I'm trying to identify, based on your brand values, based on your style categories, do we have an alignment here? Or is there something where there's a potential mismatch? So, i.e., on the weekends, I want to be perceived as this and my style is this, versus at work, I want to be perceived at this. And what I want to try to do is help you align so you're actually being able to be who you are on the weekend, can still be who you are at work, but just slightly dialed up a little bit, slightly more
Yeah.
elevated, slightly more put together.
See, I love this because, honestly, I think it's something that people probably don't think so much about, but is so important. And I mean, obviously, as a person that builds brands myself, it is, I know it is just so important. I mean, I was laughing, writing an email to my, email list today, and I put up a reel yesterday that, I've built a brand that allows me to put my cat's birthday parties on a reel on my business page because they're my supervisors. And this is the thing, though, just because I'm a business, yeah, personal brands can do that as well and, really stand out. But what I want to ask, and in your years of corporate experience, I'm sure you've seen this, have you seen women looked over, ideas wise, etc., because they're just blending in and they're not standing out amongst that sea of grey suits.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably more so where if you're in a large meeting of some sort and you're sitting there and you want to say something. Now, obviously, depending on the environment of the meeting, etc., what I have seen time and time again, and I think many will relate to it, is where you're seeing someone wanting to say something or provide their own opinion. And it's like they're either being spoken over, or there might be that someone else says something very similar to what you've said, and you're doing a bit of a double take to say, well, hang on a second, why hasn't that been heard? Now, what I've seen though is where you've got that, you're right, you're feeling good about what you're wearing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
A, you've got that level of confidence. B, you may have something unique about that outfit there. It's like there's this slight beacon that actually happens around when you're starting to say something,
Mm-hmm.
because you're starting to step into your own power around that. So that's where I've seen some of those elements actually play out. So again, it's more about how you're actually stepping into the environment more so than if you're just staying in this sea of, whatever bland is to
Yeah.
you, as defined, by you. And some women, color isn't their thing, right? I love navy, and that's always going to be one of my go-to staples.
Mm.
But there's other ways to create your unique sort of recognition around
Yeah.
you.
And just speaking about, confidence, like I'm sure with you working with your ladies gives them the confidence because, they're going to need that confidence, to stand up, to stand out. And especially as, a lot of these ladies may be, in their 40s and they're kind of, feeling that invisibility thing as we do when we're mums. It's like, well, we're mums, but hang on, I've now got to go and do the corporate thing. So do you find confidence and a lack of confidence? Your ladies often start off with that lack of confidence.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Again, I think if I go back to that sort of language that I used before around them seeing themselves as really this hidden powerhouse, right? They
Mm,
are exceptionally good at what they do. They're exceptionally good at one-on-ones, small team, that sort of thing. As soon as you get them up in front of a crowd, that's when there's a perception challenge. And there, when I can give them more confidence by getting them in the outfits that really reflects who they are, then everybody else can actually see everything that you can see and why they're so good at what they do, because it
mm,
just comes through.
yeah. So, what are your top tips, for creating that sort of, standout style that is going to command that respect and attention,
Yeah.
but still be individual?
Yeah, I think number one is really starting to spend some time. And I know we're all strapped for time, but starting to pay attention to what is it that you are pulling out of the wardrobe on a regular basis, that when you wear it, you think, God, I feel good in this. Like something, I've either had a compliment today, I have felt empowered today. What is it? And start to see what is the theme that you've got around that, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. So
Mm,
that's probably part one, because if there's something around that, you want to inject a little bit more of that. How can you inject a little bit more of that into your wardrobe? The second one probably being more so around if there is pieces that you're putting on and you're thinking, I'm just wearing it because it's easy, and it might be comfortable, but if it's not giving you that impact feeling, so it's about looking internally for a little bit and really testing that the waters out there and
mm,
saying, what's in my gut right now, then I would be absolutely saying, I think we need to just park that one to the side today and try something that's actually going to give you that impact feeling instead. And I think thirdly around that, look, a little bit of structure is always going to make you feel amazing, right?
mm,
So, people talk about blazers. It doesn't have to be a blazer. If we think about today, we've got a whole lot of, vests have come back into play again, and a vest over an outfit can actually give you a bit of a structure, that same level of structure to your outfit. It could be a shirt, but it could be one piece. If you're looking at a whole outfit, which I describe that might have a bit of flow to it, so it's lots and lots of flow, and you want to create that slight bit of powerhouse, that slight bit of structure, then you're looking to add in that piece. And then think about your hair around that as well.
Yeah,
So, you're looking
100%.
at entire look all together to go, where's the one bit that I can add a little bit of structure to my outfit?
100%. Like yes, and hair can play such a huge part in
Mm.
how you are. Like my hair is obviously stand out, but it's interesting. Like the way I dress is very much based around my hair a lot of the time,
Yeah.
because I always feel if you're going to have this bright hair, you've got to dress to reflect that as well. Because it becomes a certain style. So for the ladies that are feeling stuck out there, I'm sure Sonia has like fabulous, some advice that she can impart, because, especially with Sonia having the experience in, the boardroom with the boys, what piece of advice would you have for them, to move forward and express themselves through
Yeah.
their wardrobe?
Take one small step at a time, right? Start small. It might be lipstick, it might be glasses, it might be a change in the top, right? Just give yourself the confidence to try what you really want to be able to wear. Start small, because every step you take, then you will build on that. As you go through, and the more and more confident you get around it, the more and more you're going to be able to represent and feel who you are. You don't have to blend into the crowd.
I think that is the perfect piece of advice, because that's exactly how I started transitioning from always wearing black into occasionally, when I have to go to a black and white gala ball, wearing black. Or I'm on a 20s night on a ship, and like the only fringe dress I could find is black. Yeah, and that's exactly how I started. I bought one dress, and then I'm like, oh, I really like how I feel in this dress. This dress is making me feel good and happy. I'm going to buy another one. And it just kind of went on from there. And as you discover new labels and brands, and it just starts small. And I think that's such great advice. So thank you for that. I think that's going to be really helpful. I thought I'd just throw my journey in there as well, because whilst I'm not corporate, obviously, it's still the same journey and it's the same advice.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about your program. You've got a program coming up that's going to help ladies actually, step into the power. I love to say this, of who they were meant to be. It's one of my favorite things to say. Tell us about Activate.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So doors are opening to Activate on the 21st of February. It's a 6-week group program, which I only open a few times a year. And it is going to be, so I teach it live. And so I can actually get to know every single lady that's in there. It is going to cover around getting to understand your brand. It's going to understand your style. You're going to then work through your signature colors, your body shape. We're going to work through wardrobe. We're going to work through how to actually shop strategically, which is my major piece around it. And then it's about bringing all these things together and making sure that you know how to execute this on your own. And I'm there every step of that journey. And I can't wait. It's going to be a fabulous session.
I'm very excited for it. And I know, I always say we don't know what we don't know. So my logic is, when you need help, you go find the person that can give you the help. And I mean, I know for a fact that I would not be where I am today if I hadn't have had, people help me along the way. So that's why I was super keen to get you on, because I know we get in this rut. I know sometimes it seems really hard to, motivate and move ourselves to do something that's a little bit different. But, the benefits are so worth it. Tell me, have you got one example? I'm sure you actually know you've got lots of examples, you know, like a success story of one of your clients is like literally transformed her professional image through the
Yeah,
fashion and the effect that it's had on her career.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Let me think through that
Yeah, I know,
list.
because I know you've got a few.
I've got a few. Look, yeah, definitely. I would say one of my more recent clients, she's been amazing. She already had a fantastic sense of style, but she's actually a partner in a business. And her partner was always dressed really immaculately all the time. And working with her, what we've been able to do is actually get her to the point where she was a bit younger than her partner. So I should have said that. So she always felt like she had to live up to sort of
Yeah.
expectations, or people were comparing her and the equal partner around that. So working with her, we've just nailed her brand, and she is just so on point. Her signature style is all pleated skirts and wide leg pants,
Ah,
actually.
nice. I love a good wide leg pant.
Yeah. And so for her, the transition's actually been being able to step into the conferences, the functions that they go to together, and really feel like she is holding her own, right, as an equal partner, both, on paper, but as well as when she's with people together. So she was very self-conscious after having children around changes in body shape and so forth. But we've been able to really work through her colors and her style, and she had some wonderful foundations there. But it was about making a couple of tweaks around that and strategically getting her to shop in a particular way that has now taken her brand just to this whole other level. So it's been incredible to watch. And a lot of my one-on-one clients, we're on Slack together. So
Um,
it's just getting the chats back and forth of going, this is what I'm wearing today, feel amazing, got 50 million compliments, that type of
oh,
thing. So which is
I love
incredible.
that because, it is so nice when you get a compliment. Like I know since I've started wearing color, um, I get a lot of compliments just, meandering down the street, and it makes me feel so good. And
Mm.
you know what, though? I give a lot of compliments as well because I know that giving compliments as well makes you feel good. Like I love giving compliments. Like I'll just be wandering past them, like, oh, nice shoes, and they're like, oh, thanks. But it just makes me feel happy as well, to do that, to give and receive and see she would, that would be absolutely boosting her confidence. So finally, last question for the ladies that are now going, oh my God, what am I, I know this is what I need. Like, what am I going to do? What would be the first step, other than joining Activate, of course, that you recommend in, taking on their journey, to a more empowered wardrobe? What would the first thing?
Yeah, look, I always say just the one thing that I know many people hate to do is taking selfies of themselves, right? Because you say, take a photo of yourself. Oh, I really don't want to do that. But I really fundamentally believe if you spend maybe 3 to 5 days, take some selfies of the outfits that you are wearing as a starting point, and
Yeah.
then start to take note of what are the themes in there. What do you like? What don't you like? You will actually start to see some patterns start to emerge, which will help you to kickstart your journey along. Hang on, what do I really like about my style and what don't I like? But if you need a bit of guidance around that, I've actually got a free guide as well.
Yay, because that was actually my next question. Where can we find you? And we have a free guide. I love it.
So there's absolutely a free guide that you can walk through, which will help take you through some of those steps as well.
That's fantastic. And you can find those ladies, all of Sonia's details are going to be in the show notes. So please go and click on it and grab that freebie. Sonia, thank you so much. You've given such fabulous advice today because I do know, like, it is very overwhelming trying to figure this stuff out. So thank you so much for your advice and information. I know the ladies will find it useful. And girls, go check out Sonia. She's an amazing person. And thank you so much for being on your Bring Back Your Pink.
Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. It's been a ball, as always.
And ladies, I'll see you next week on same place, same time, different episode, of course. Anyway, thank you, and I'll catch you next week, ladies. Bye. Hey, ladies, I created this podcast because I know we need more of it to help us bring back our pink and live our best lives. But guess what? We can't do this alone. So if you loved this episode, let's spread the word. Share it on your socials, send it to a friend, and don't forget to write us a review. By doing this, you become part of the movement to bring back your pink and inspire others to do the same. I'm incredibly grateful to have you in my world as we live life in full color and become our authentic selves. Together, we're unstoppable. Let's keep rocking and bringing back the pink.